Okay, hi everyone. I'm going to do some videos now going through the revision sheet that Mr. Jones put up online, which is to get you ready for your assessment task quiz next week. I'm talking about the one that looks like this. Okay, it's quite long. I printed it off and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. 8 pages long. So I'm going to have to break this up into some shorter videos, definitely. And I'm probably not going to do every question, but I'll do one question from every section, if you know what I mean. And if you have any particular requests for questions you'd like me to explain as a video, then you need to put those requests in on the Google Classroom, and then I can do it. But hopefully I'll cover everything that you need to know. Now, first of all, remember that you've been told that you can use a calculator for this. So that's, one good thing. I'm also going to show you how to do some of them like with and without the calculator to just so you know how to do it, because you might not always be able to have the calculator. Okay, so I would recommend that you are looking, you sort of need to be looking, I suppose, at the revision sheets while I'm talking about it. If it's possible to print it off like I did, I reckon that's a really good idea. Otherwise, what I suppose you can do is you can listen to me, and then you can also pause the video while you go and look at the revision sheet on the screen, and you might be able to work it out really well that way. Okay, question number 1 is increase 72 by 8%. All right, this can be done on the calculator pretty easily, and I'll show you how to do it. There's more than one way to do it. All right. Okay, I've got this particular calculator app here. So what I did is I put in 72 multiplied by 8%. Okay, as you can see, there's literally a percent button above the 8, and you just press that. And this is going to tell us what 8% of 72 is. Now, at the top of the calculator up here, it's turned that 8% into a decimal, into 0.08, okay, which is the same thing. So when we press the equals there, we find out that 8% is, 5.76. And because we have to increase 72 by 8%, we need to add that 5.76 onto the 72. And when we do that, it's, It's 77.76. Yeah, it would be 77.76. All right, that's the easy way to do it on the calculator. If you want to do that without a calculator, it's not too hard to do. It just takes longer. It's kind of hard without a calculator to work out straight away what 8% of 72 is. What you need to do is you need to work out what 1% of 72 is. Now, remember, we can do that sort of thing by moving the decimal points, right? So in the number 72, there's already a decimal point in it. Okay, it's 72.00. Now we don't write it like that because we don't have to. But if we want to find 1%, which is the same as finding 1/100th, we move the decimal point. Okay, and we did this in class a while ago. You move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So when we do that, %1 of 72 is 0.72. Now, what we want actually is 8% of 72. So then you just have to do a multiplication. I'll show you how to do that. I'm just doing it on paper, just bear with me. Okay, 7 times 8 is 56, so that's 57. Carry the 5. Okay, and when you do the multiplication like that, I made a mistake, but I fixed it up. When you do 0.72 times 8, you do the multiplication and you get 5.76. Okay, which is the answer we got before on the calculator. And then you add that to the 72 and you get the answer we got before, which is 77.76. Okay, that's the first one. Question 2 is decrease 105 by 13. Okay, well, I'm not going to do that one because it's very similar to the first one, but in the calculator, you would just do 105 times 13%, and that gives you an answer, but then you've got to subtract that answer from 105 because you're decreasing it. Okay, alternatively, without the calculator, you've got to find out what 1% of 105 is. Okay, that's a bit easier to do. It's 1.05. And then you multiply that by 13, and that answer, you take all of that away from 105. Okay, question 3 is actually easier than questions 1 and 2 because it doesn't have as many steps in it. So I'll do the hardest one in question 3, which is, it's probably D, okay? So the question is, what is 110%? What is 110% off 110? Okay, now if we just want to do this on our calculator, okay, see what I typed in is 110 times 110%. That's how we would work that out. My calculator app has turned that 110% into the equivalent decimal, which is 1.1. So we press this, I think it's 121, it's 121. That would be the answer. If we want to work that out without a calculator, well, there's different ways of doing that. Now, we know that 110% is 1.1. So what you can do is you can do a multiplication like that, 110 times 1.1. Another way of thinking about it is, well, okay, 100% of a number is that number. So 100% of 110 is 110. So what we have to do is add another 10% onto that. So what you could do is you could find out what is 10% of 110. That's not too hard to do because it's just one of those ones where you move the decimal point one place to the left. That would be 11, and then you add that on to the 110, and it gives you 121. So there's different ways of approaching that question. Okay, question 4. It is saying write the first quantity as a percentage of the second quantity. Okay, so I'm going to pick one of these to do. The one that looks like the hardest is probably D again, unsurprisingly. Okay, so in D we have to find out what is 25 centimetres out of 2.5 metres. Now with these questions, the really important first step is you've got to make them into the same unit. So one thing that we're looking at is centimetres and one thing is metres. We've got to convert one of them so that they're both the same thing. Now 2.5 metres, you should know that that is 250 centimetres. So what we're looking at here is, as a percent, how much is 25 out of 250? Because we've changed that 2.5 metres to 250 centimetres, okay? Now, when you look at that fraction, we can see immediately that that's going to simplify quite easily. 25 over 250 simplifies to 1 over 10, simplifies to 10%. All right, so that's the way to do question 4. Okay, let's have a go at question 5. Amanda received the following marks in her Term 1 exams. Write each of her results as a percentage and which was her best result. Okay, so for English, she got 18 out of 24. When we simplify that actually works out quite easy. 18 over 24 is equal to 3 over 4 when we simplify it, because we can divide the top by 6 and we can divide the bottom by 6, and that's 75%. because 3/4 is a very common fraction, and you should know what that is as a percent. It's 75%. Okay, the maths one is 12 out of 16. Well, lo and behold, that's exactly the same. Okay, 12 out of 16, when you simplify that, it's also 3/4 and it's also 75%. Okay, so the science one, she got 35 out of 40. When you simplify that, that's going to be better. When you simplify 30 out of 40, it's 7/8. And if you do 7 divided by 8 on the calculator, it'll be 0.875 as a percentage. That's 87.5. And you can see that that's easily a better mark than the other two subjects. Oh, the question did, however, say round to the nearest whole percent. So what we actually need to do for that science one is we round it to the nearest whole percent, which is actually rounding it to 0 decimal places. And because it's 87.5, which is exactly in between 87 and 88, when it's exactly in between, we round it up. We don't round it down. So therefore, the science mark is 88%, and it's easily the best mark. So that's the answer to number 5. All right, now we get into the probability section. And the first question is, write each term and the numbers in its correct position on the probability scale below. And the words are likely, uncertain, certain, even chance, and impossible. And then write the numbers correctly on the scale underneath the line. Okay, I'm just going to fill all that in and then show it to you and explain it to you. There's a lot of stuff here to squeeze into a small space. That's the problem. But I'll do my best. Okay, have I done all of that? All right. Okay, so I put all the numbers at the top. Okay, 0 is right at the bottom, and 0 is the same as impossible. 1 is right up at the top, and that is the same as certain. If something has a probability of 1, it will definitely happen. Okay? That's like rolling a dice and the number is 6 or less. If something is 0, it's impossible, it can't happen. That's like rolling a dice and rolling a 7. Okay, even chance means 50-50. Okay, it's exactly 50% that it's going to happen, 50% that it isn't. So that's in the middle, okay? 0.25, well, we do that like a quarter of the way up the line. And 75%, we do that 3/4 of the way up the line to certain. And then unlikely is something which is greater than 0, but like still a low number. And then likely is something which is like getting close to 1, but less than 1. Okay, technically, I suppose you could say that unlikely is anything less than 0 but smaller than even chance, and likely is anything which is greater than even chance but less than 1. But I think what it really means is that an unlikely thing is more down that end, and a likely thing is more up that end. Okay, I'll do the definitions here. Okay, that's how those definitions match up. I'm not even going to go through them because all of those definitions are in the textbook. I forget the page, but I asked you to look at it before. If there's any questions about those definitions, let me know, but I think that's pretty straightforward. That's how they match up. Okay, next one is list the sample space for the spinner shown below. All right, so the sample space is all the possible things that can happen. Just the way I've printed this off, the colors don't come up well. Okay. All right. I'll just put all of these answers in and then show you. odd number, that's 4. Okay, the sample space is all the things that can possibly happen. So there's 5 numbers that we can spin, 2 numbers are the same. So the sample space is 1, 2, 3, 3, 7, because that's all the things that can happen. And we do that sample space by just putting a comma in between each possible outcome, and we do these curly brackets around it. Okay, the probability of rolling a 3, well, there's 2 out of 5, which is 40%. The probability of an odd number, well, the odd numbers are 1, 3, 3, and 7, so that's 4 out of 5, it's 80%. The probability of an even number is, there's only one of them, which is 2. It's 2, isn't it? I'm reading it back to front. And that's 20%. Okay, that's that one. Okay, that's the end of video 1 of revision, because it's already a 16-minute video. I know that was fast, but you can always pause it and go back and have another look. If there's any follow-up questions to the first revision video, please get in touch on the Google Classroom, and I will do the next 2 pages of the sheet in a revision video tomorrow. Have a good day. Miss you all. Bye-bye.